Here's a story of resilience and determination that might inspire you. This is the site of Burstall Priory, a medieval monastery in the East Riding of Yorkshire, England. It was built around 1219 by the Albemarles. Now, they were the family of the sister of William the Conqueror. They were given all the lands of Holderness. The Albemarles had founded a monastery of St. Martin d'Auchy in Normandy and had given it many churches and tithes in Holderness. What's a tithe, you might ask? In the Middle Ages, it was a kind of tax that everyone had to pay to the church. It was 10% of whatever you made, so produce, crops, animals, beer. The prior in Normandy sent monks over to look after the land rights and privileges. When they arrived at the site, it would have looked pretty much like it is now. Lots of grass and big skies. There was a church on the riverbank, but they had to build their own accommodation, and they suffered much hardship over the coming years, battling the shifting land and being classed as foreigners. They often had the land seized during wars and disputes between England and France. At the end of the 14th century, the prior in France gave up pretty much most of the land to Burstall Priory, which is in the West Riding of Yorkshire. But the monastery on the bank of the estuary remained. The monks there were Benedictine, so they practiced silence and humility. They did all the physical work and cared for the sick. For them, it must have been a bittersweet life. You know, the beauty of the landscape and the privations of their living circumstances. During the 14th century, huge swathes of land were lost to flooding. We're talking about hundreds of acres and 5 villages up the estuary as well. People and livestock displaced. There wasn't much to be done. It was way beyond digging ditches by hand. It's because the land here is on clay and it's moved by tides and storms. Sounds romantic, doesn't it? 5 lost villages in this bleakly beautiful estuary. But the hardship and sorrow it caused could have been devastating. But who are we but determined people? Not only do we strive to connect, to find common ground between us, we do our hardest to make that ground solid. In the 15th century, the monks and the people moved the church back, away from the swampy bank, about half a mile inland. Stone by stone, they rebuilt it, and there it stayed at the edge of the tiny Holderness village of Skeffling. And they stayed on the river bank, did the monks, until the dissolution of the abbeys in the 16th century. It must have been built to last because way into the 20th century you could still see the ruins of the abbey right until the water claimed them. Unfortunately, you can't see them now. So there you have the story of the church that was moved by people determined not to give up. For more stories of resilience and positivity, you can subscribe below and go to thedarkpen.com. You can sign up for the newsletter and download Towers and Spires, our story of coming to terms with a fatal illness. Thank you.